The most ancient record of locks and keys dates all the way back to the city of Nineveh, which we know dates back as far as 6000 BC. Today, keys do all sorts of things. They unlock everything from your kid sister's journal to Fort Knox. And test keys, they contain the answers to the most important questions. Keys are also the symbols on a map, right? They show you where the terrain is challenging and where it's easy for you to travel. And the keys on a typewriter or a keyboard help you to create coherent sentences and record facts. Someone once said that a healthy mind is the greatest treasure to find. Your brain is a treasure trove of potential well-being. Nutrients are the keys that have the potential to unlock and kickstart your path to restored mental function. They have the potential to provide answers to some of your most perplexing symptoms. They have the ability to show you how to navigate your wellness journey with greater ease. And they have the capability to lift your mind up out of the fog so that you can once again have clear, coherent, and creative thought processes and improve memory. Over the years, we've lost the art and the ability to use nutrition to our advantage. We don't prepare nutrients the way that we used to. We live in a mononutrient culture that is sanitized and devoid of diversity, and we've grown accustomed to satisfying our taste buds with processed sugars and salts and fats. We're killing our bodies and we're destroying our brains. Clearer thought, a calmer mind, and protection of your brain all begin in the kitchen. So let's go on an adventure today to rediscover the key that proper nutrition can be. Foods fall into three basic categories: proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. So what I want to do right now is take a few minutes and look at each of these groups of foods and the things inside those categories that you actually probably shouldn't eat because they are very detrimental to your brain health. Proteins that are produced in conventional feed operations tend to be about 30% higher in an unhealthy kind of saturated fat that can increase your risk of cardiovascular disease. They also contain high levels of antibiotics, hormones, and even pesticides and herbicides because of the conventional feed that they eat. Now, this is problematic because pesticides can interfere with the way that your brain produces neurotransmitters. These chemicals all have the potential to disrupt your gut flora, which is essential for neurotransmitter formation. They also throw your hormones into disarray, and they muck up your endocrine system, which contains your thyroid, pituitary, pineal, hypothalamus, thymus, and adrenal glands, and your pancreas. Your hypothalamus and pineal glands are actually inside your brain, and a dorked up adrenal gland can result in some serious anxiety. Likewise, nuts, seeds, and beans and grains, which contain proteins, if not organic, are going to carry a very high level of these same chemical pesticides. Sugars, or refined carbohydrates, light up your body with inflammation and set your brain on fire. They can make depression exponentially worse and create blood sugar highs and lows that then tailspin you into this anxious state. They also contribute to memory and learning problems, and they see this in mice. They give them diets high in sugar and then watch as it creates all this amyloid in the body, which amyloid is there to protect the body and brain from inflammation. So amyloid is connected to Alzheimer's disease. So when we ingest a lot of sugar, we're actually creating amyloid plaques inside our brains that end up, in the process of trying to protect our brains, destroying the synapses so that they don't function anymore. Our bodies were designed to be fueled by healthy fats and oils. And so our bad fats, the fried fats, the trans fats, some saturated fats, but not all, are pro-inflammatory and they lead to unhealthy blood flow. And this causes all kinds of problems with getting oxygen and nutrients to the brain, but it also causes life-threatening heart disease, strokes, and clots that, if not fatal, cause serious brain damage and permanently affect both our physical and our mental capabilities. Gluten and casein, which are the proteins in wheat and dairy, can also have profound psychological effects on some individuals. Food sensitivities can contribute to low mood, anxiety, and depression, which is why I recommend testing for your food sensitivities. Dr. Tom O'Brien recently commented in a lecture on autoimmune disease that 70% of all the patients that he runs labs on test positive for gluten intolerance. Odds are that you don't know what ails you without testing. The chemicals that are also involved in our conventional food production contribute to gut inflammation, and they destroy your good gut bacteria. And as we've mentioned before in the presentation, they destroy your endocrine system as well. Since your thyroid and your good gut bacteria play an integral role in your mood and your brain health, you need to make better choices to protect your health. A great basic rule of thumb is to choose foods that are organic, wild caught, and grass-fed. You can use the Environmental Working Group's Dirty Dozen and Clean 15 list to choose foods that are low in pesticides, and you can shop local, talk to your farmer, and find out how he produces his crops. Since we've talked at length in the past about what to avoid, I'd rather spend the rest of the lesson talking about the things that might be really beneficial to your brain health. My hope is that you'll walk away with some new ideas that will really open up your culinary repertoire. Your body takes the building blocks that your meals provide and it uses them to construct your neurotransmitters that can improve your mood and your sense of well-being. We know that serotonin and dopamine, for example, are our feel-good neurotransmitters. Serotonin begins with the protein tryptophan, which then gets converted to 5-HTP, and then serotonin, and then melatonin. Dopamine begins with the protein phenylalanine, which becomes tyrosine and eventually dopamine. GABA is a neurotransmitter that helps us find a sense of peace and well-being, and it's produced from the amino acid glutamine, also by yoga and meditation. All of these processes, taking the proteins and turning them into neurotransmitters, requires vitamin B6. And the dopamine and serotonin pathways also require SAMe, a compound that's made in your body from taurine and other amino acids. So where can you find these proteins? Well, taurine is found in beef, lamb, dark chicken meat, eggs, dairy, seaweed, and krill. Tryptophan is found in salmon, chicken, turkey, goose, eggs, spinach, seeds, and nuts. It's the little protein that actually might cause you to get a little bit sleepy on Thanksgiving Day after you've had your turkey. Phenylalanine is an amazing little protein that actually helps you a ton with your focus and concentration. It's found in your nuts, seeds, beef, lamb, chicken, pork, fish, eggs, cheese, dairy, beans, and whole grains. Glutamine is found in cabbage, spinach, lentils, beans, beets, peas, chicken, and fish. And the glutamine found in cabbage is particularly helpful for healing and sealing your gut and restoring your gut integrity again. We find vitamin B6 in pork, chicken, turkey, salmon, albacore and yellowfin tuna, oats, brown rice, eggs, chicken liver, beef, carrots, sweet potato, peas, bananas, chickpeas, and avocados. Now, there are some surprising sources of protein that you may not have even considered. Bone broth is incredibly beneficial for healing and restoring your gut health, which, as I've mentioned before, will support your neurotransmitter formation. Microalgae, such as spirulina or chlorella, provide a great source of protein, chlorophyll, and vitamin K. And these are usually available in the supplement aisle from that you can take either as a capsule or as a powder that you would add to your smoothies. Now, organ meat is rarely consumed these days, but it's beginning to make the rounds on the artisanal market again. So liver pâtés, sweetbreads, menudo, even haggis are all traditional ways of enjoying these delicacies. Our ancestors consumed the entire animal, snout to tail, a practice that we have lost over time. One of the first things I look for when I go back to the UK is tongue. It's very, very tender meat. It's packed with protein, the B vitamins necessary for a healthy brain, and zinc for the synaptic transmissions for your neurotransmitters. Now, if you don't like the idea of eating meat, consider organic soy, 2 ounces or less in very minimal amounts. Lentils, chickpeas, beans, nutritional yeast, hemp seed, peas, amaranth or quinoa, wild rice, chia seeds, nut butters, nuts, seeds, and even broccoli, spinach, asparagus, artichokes, potatoes and sweet potatoes, and Brussels sprouts. Some of these foods are a complete protein, others make a complete protein when you combine them with one another, like rice and beans. Carbohydrates are essential for human function, and we often crave them when we are feeling overwhelmed and experiencing a lot of mental chatter. It's not really surprising because without glucose, our neurotransmitters are not produced and communication between the neurons starts to break down. In addition, hypoglycemia, a common complication of diabetes caused by low glucose levels in the blood, can lead to loss of energy for brain function, and it's linked to poor attention and cognitive function. When we feel like that, it's really easy to reach out for a candy bar or some other simple form of sugars to make ourselves feel better. But as I mentioned before, that can be a disastrous cycle, creating cravings for more sugars, lighting up your brain like a drug addiction, and then exacerbating mood disorders and depression. The best form of carbohydrates that you can get are found in your fruits and vegetables. You want to choose foods that are low glycemic, meaning they won't spike and crash your blood sugar levels, and the ones also that are full of fiber. The fiber, which is a carbohydrate by the way, is going to blunt the way that your body takes up the sugars and the speed at which you digest them, and it's going to keep you fuller and satiated for longer. Dr. Korn, Dr. Amen, Dr. Walls, Dr. Perlmutter, and Dr. Bredesen all recommend keeping your grains, which is another source of complex carbohydrates, down to a bare minimum. Dr. Amen says that this is largely for 2 reasons. The first one being that many of them simply turn to sugar once they get inside your body. And the second is that several of them, including wheat, barley, rye, kamut, bulgur, corn, and spelt, all contain types of gluten, which can cause more than 100 different symptoms, from chronic diarrhea, bloating, flatulence, nausea, abdominal pain, skin rashes, and fatigue, to mental fogginess. Gluten-free diets are actually associated with a reduction, even the full remission, of symptoms in a subset of schizophrenic patients, and improvement in autistic and ADHD symptoms in a subset of patients as well. Throughout the generations, we have lost the practice and the art of pre-digesting our grains by soaking them, sprouting them, and fermenting them. This process neutralizes the grain's phytic acid, which can, according to Dr. Korn, inhibit the absorption of calcium, copper, iron, magnesium, phosphorus, silica, and zinc, as well as some of our amino acids or proteins, which are so essential for our brain health. She does go on to say, though, that oats are an important addition to the diet, especially for somebody who is struggling with anxiety or has insomnia. Steel-cut oats are so rich in silicon, phosphorus, and magnesium, and they provide a calming and nourishing effect. She suggests trying to sweeten them, if you are not diabetic, with a little blackstrap molasses to add in the beneficial minerals like iron and copper, magnesium, potassium, and manganese. If you want to contact me by calling the number on the bottom of your screen, then I will send you Dr. Korn's Brainbow. It's a list of healthy foods and vegetable carbohydrates by color, and it gives you the benefit and the impact on your health right there in the notes section. So now we're done talking about proteins and carbohydrates, let's take a moment to focus on fats. Now, Dr. Korn recommends that you begin by cleaning the oils that you use in your home up first, because it's the first and easiest step that you can actually take to protect your brain. Your brain is largely made up of fat, and the fats that you ingest have the power to cause inflammation and damage or promote healing and clear thinking. A Mayo Clinic study found that the risk of cognitive impairment was 42% lower in people who ate a fat-based diet, 21% lower in those who ate a protein-based diet, but 4 times higher in those people who ate a simple carbohydrate-based diet. Think bread, pasta, potatoes, rice, and sugar. With the odds stacked like that, it's probably quite beneficial for you to start moving away from a carbohydrate-based diet and more towards a fat-based diet that's going to fuel your brain and protect it for a long, long time to come. While I'm not a huge advocate of diets that are very, very high in fat because they can be pretty hard on the gallbladder, I do know that getting the right fats into your body is absolutely crucial. Fats that are high in omega-6 oils, things like corn oil, cottonseed oil, soybean, and canola, even sunflower oil, as well as butter substitutes and margarines, really need to take a hike. And if you can't believe it's not butter, I can't believe you'd actually eat it. Now, if you don't have a food sensitivity to dairy, then you can include raw organic butter or ghee, which is simply butterfat, in your diet. And other excellent oils include things like olive oil, which you never want to heat, by the way. It can damage the oil, so you just want to use that as a dressing on your vegetables or on your salad. Sesame oil is another one that's good for dressings. Coconut oil is a very good high temperature oil, so is avocado oil. Walnut oil, pumpkin seed oil, and even tallow or lard from pastured animals is safe for you to use. Now, seeds and nuts provide you with both proteins and fats. In the same way and for the same reason that grains should be soaked and sprouted, nuts and seeds should also be subjected to the same process. You want to protect your body from having those nutrients grabbed hold of and carried away. Although the coconut oil is a source of saturated fats, Dr. Korn points out that it's very, very gentle on our gallbladder and liver because it doesn't need bile salts for absorption. She says it's actually much less likely to be incorporated into the fat cells, and it doesn't collect in the artery walls or contribute in any way to hardening of the arteries. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't mention fish oils and their incredibly healthy fats. And it's not just fermented cod liver oil where we find it. We can find it in krill oil and anchovies, Arctic char, herrings, king crab, mackerel and wild salmon, sardines, sea bass, snapper and sole, trout, clams, tuna, mussels, oysters, and scallops. They all contain preposterous amounts of fats like EPA and DHA. Now, DHA is to the brain what calcium is to the bones. It helps to build the brain and keep it strong. Again, Dr. Korn is a phenomenal resource for us. She gives us a list of the places where we can find omega-3 fats that are not just inside fish. So if you don't like fish, you have all kinds of other options as well. So the first place we actually find it is in meat, in beef, in grass-fed beef. It has a high amount of omega-3 fatty acids. And then fish, like we talked about just a few moments ago, in dairy and eggs, and then in our legumes and beans, so organic edamame, miso, and tofu. Again, if it's soy, if you have autoimmune, soy is not really a good plan, but also you need to eat organic soy and limit it to about 2 ounces per day and make sure that it is fermented, because those are the best ways for you to get soy into your system. Nuts and seeds, you're going to find it in alfalfa seeds, chia seeds, flax seeds, and walnuts. And then it's in a ton of vegetables as well. Algae, like we talked about previously, in spirulina and chlorella, which you find in supplement form inside the health food store, but also your Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, collard greens, green beans, kale, romaine, lettuce, spinach, summer squash, turnip greens, and winter squash. How many of those are just simply leafy greens? When you eat your salads, you're going to end up with some omega-3s by default. Oils, we know there's a little bit in avocado oil, definitely in our cod liver oil, flaxseed oil, fish oil, krill oil, hemp oil, and walnut oil. I wish I had the time and the space necessary to provide you with the exhaustive list that Dr. Amen shares with us with regards to herbs and spices. In his book, Memory Rescue, he dedicates pages 275 to 278 to the discovery of the health benefits of all the different kinds of seasonings, and then he takes the next few pages to apply them specifically to mental health ailments. Some of my favorite discoveries are saffron, which can raise serotonin levels in the brain and is as effective as antidepressant medication for treating people with mild to moderate depression. So go ahead, you could enjoy a little saffron rice for lunch, but you can also get it in supplement form as well. Mint is great for improving your memory and your focus. Rosemary, just the smell of it alone, can help you with your memory. I would keep a jar of it on my desk when I was studying to help retain the information, and it used to be given away at funerals. They would give you a sprig of rosemary to remember your loved one. Thyme helps us to protect the neurons in our brain from premature aging, and nutmeg is amazing because it helps prevent the formation of those beta amyloid plaques which are found in patients with Alzheimer's disease. The reason that herbs and seasonings are so beneficial is because of their high auric values. Auric simply stands for oxygen radical absorbance capacity. It's basically a measurement that tells us how awesome their antioxidant properties are. The moral of the story is this: spicing things up in the kitchen is incredibly beneficial for your mental well-being. Supporting your body with green foods is also crucial. The heme molecule in human blood has nearly the same structure as the chlorophyll molecule in a plant. The biggest difference between the two is that iron is at the center of the heme molecule and magnesium is at the center of the chlorophyll. The chlorophyll helps us to build our blood and keep it clean. Dr. Korn also tells us that it inhibits bacterial growth in the body and anaerobic yeasts and fungi in our digestive tract. It purifies the body of its toxins and it's anti-inflammatory, and it helps us to renew cells and support a healthy gut microbiome. Chlorophyll also helps us to regulate calcium absorption. She goes on to say that it's deodorizing, energizing, and important to people with fatigue-related conditions like chronic fatigue syndrome, adrenal fatigue, depression, and fibromyalgia, and also inflammatory bowel syndrome. Dr. Walls suggests at least 3 cups of leafy greens per day, although if you are on blood thinners, then you need to check with your physician before you make any changes to the amount of salad that you consume in your daily diet. There is so much information out there for us to glean with regards to nutrition and mental health. Dr. Korn makes special mention of the benefits of chocolate. Maybe stevia sweetened would be better, or cacao powder. Watermelon, fermented foods, medicinal mushrooms, berries, plantains, and cherry juice all have benefits. Dr. Walls and Dr. Korn dedicate their entire books to the benefits of good food and feeling good. Dr. Raymond and Dr. Bredesen have meal plans that will benefit your mind greatly. I could be here all day trying to explain to you all those benefits, but instead I want to leave you with this thought. While nutrition may not be the only answer to someone who's suffering through a mental health condition, it is a key component in their healing process. It's clear that diets high in filthy fats, refined carbohydrates, simple sugars, and mass-produced chemically saturated produce and proteins set up the failure of nearly every part of a person's physical anatomy. Eating those foods is akin to thinking you have the key to health and well-being of your body, but finding out in reality there's actually a security chain on the door preventing you from getting in. Clean, specific nutrients are the keys you need to provide you with the answers to some of your most perplexing symptoms. They will show you how to navigate your wellness journey with greater ease, and they have the capability to lift your mind out of the fog so that you can once again have clear, coherent, and creative thought processes and improved memory.